Hi, my name is Galea and I'm from the School of Biotechnology and Biomolecular Sciences. I teach biochemistry and molecular biology to a range of science, medicine and optometry students. I'm also involved in curriculum design, course development and also the design and development of a number of different online learning activities.
And I'm Pat and I'm from the School of Optometry and Vision Science, and I teach mainly clinical subjects, the first clinical course that the students have when they're studying optometry and vision science, and I'm also supervisor of the final year paediatric clinic.
Today Pat and I are here to talk to you about a tool that we both use in our teaching. The tool is called the Workshop tool in Moodle, and it's used to facilitate peer review in teaching.
And I use it in the blind form for blind peer review, and I also use it in the non-blinded form so that the students know exactly who's reviewing their work and whose work they are actually reviewing. And which version do you normally do, Anne?
I usually use the blind or anonymous form of the tool.
And I think you've got a lot more students than I have, haven't you?
Yes, we have in excess of 1,000 students in one of the courses that I primarily use this tool in. What about you?
Yes, we've only got anywhere from about 80 to 100, but needless to say, once the tool is set up, it's fairly automatic.
Right. And what are you actually using the tool for in your courses?
I have two functions. I use it for an essay, and the essay is one of the few times that the optometry students actually have to research and write an essay. And I also use it as video for clinical assessments in their second year. And yours is an essay too? Yep.
Yes, it is an essay, and in our essay we're mainly using it for our first year biology students, and the main purpose of the essay is to introduce them to the features of scientific literature, being able to find scientific literature and being able to look at the different types of articles that are present and be able to navigate their way around it and perhaps even understand a few of the features that they see in these scientific articles. So Pat, how do you use the workshop tool in that assignment?
Right, well with the essay that the students write, what I found was that it actually was very, very difficult to mark, mainly because you can tell they start the night before, finish at 2 a.m. and we get handed a piece of not particularly good work. And I was very tired of that and pleaded to someone from DVC to help me, at which point Lorenzo suggested that I split it up into 3 different parts and have them blind peer reviewed, and so that they can then tweak their work up and give me a nice one at the end. That's how I used it, and I've only had about 90 or so students. And how did it work for you?
Right, so we actually, over a few years, developed the assignment so that students would actually submit a draft essay, and then they would actually peer review one another's essays, so 3 to 4 essays each they would peer review. They receive that feedback from their peers, and then they use the feedback from their peers to actually improve their original draft essay, and then they would resubmit an essay at the end that would be marked by their expert tutor, who would be the final mark for their assignment. And in addition to that, we also use the calibration facilitation in the tool, and that would allow us to actually get the students to learn how to become a better peer reviewer. And that meant that they could actually look at exemplar assignments, so essays that were written in the past that were either good, bad or intermediate, and they'd get feedback on how they were actually marking those exemplars in the calibration aspect of that assignment. And that also helped them to be a better peer reviewer. And we also use that calibration aspect to actually train our tutors to become more consistent markers across them as well.
And because every time the student reviews somebody else's work, they're learning and learning and learning, and then they can incorporate that into their own final effort. Yes, that's exactly what we found. We found too that the students were a little bit scared of it to start off with, in that the reactions were, oh no, they're getting me to do 3 times, 4 times more work by doing this. But by the time we got towards the end, they really appreciated the fact that it was much less stressful at that last moment when they had to put it together. And in fact, our marks showed it towards the end as well. You've had good feedback on your process?
Yeah, really good feedback. And like you, I was so surprised because I thought students would really balk at and complain about having to mark so many essays. But in actual fact, that was the bit they liked the most. They said that they found the peer reviewing process more valuable than actually sort of writing the essay itself, seeing other students' essays. And so our evaluation processes included a lot of surveys to the students about what they thought about the whole process and what aspects they thought they benefited from the most, what aspects they thought were not that good. And we got a lot of valuable feedback from doing those surveys. How did you evaluate your project?
Right. Basically, the essay had been run in its actual format a couple of times. So what was useful was that I was able to look at the marks from the non-peer-reviewed version with the peer-reviewed version. And even though the range of marks was still basically the same, what I found was that the median actually increased. So the bulk of the marks moved up, which indicates that the quality of work was actually a lot better when it was done in that way. And also I had a much better time marking them as well, because they were much better thought through. And even some of the students had in fact realised that they were completely on the wrong track when they were answering parts of the question. So it's really a tool that allows students to self-correct and monitor each other as well as their own work. So I'm definitely a fan.
Yeah, absolutely. Our tutors also agreed that for the tutors that had been marking this assignment prior to us introducing the peer review element, that they noticed that the quality of the essays dramatically improved when they marked them. But unlike you, we also tweaked a few other aspects of the assignment, so we weren't really able to compare the marks as such between the successive years. But we did change the overall assignment for several years with that peer review process using the workshop tool, and each time we'd change a different aspect of it and we'd use the feedback we got from the surveys from the students to actually tweak those aspects. So the bits they didn't like we made sort of a little bit better based on their feedback, so that was really helpful as well.
Right.